This is what you can expect from the Kamala Harris interview today in terms of media coverage and the interview itself. First, let's talk about the anti-liberal channels. So anti-liberal right-wing and anti-liberal left-wing channels. So the anti-liberal right-wing channels, like a Ben Shapiro, maybe a Steven Crowder, maybe a Tim Pool, they're going to try to find any little thing, no matter how small, to pretend to be outraged about and said, oh, she was wearing a weird outfit, or she paused for like 3 seconds instead of 2 seconds, or something stupid like that. If she genuinely says something really, really bad or messes up, obviously they're going to talk about it, but I'm anticipating that it's not going to happen. The worst of it in reality is going to be she's going to deflect on some questions, but the kind of questions she's going to deflect on, I'm thinking it's not going to be something that necessarily a Ben Shapiro is going to want to highlight, because, any of the good policies that she talks about, anything that she, says she wants to do that's to help the American people, if it has any sort of, foundation that is actually good for the American people, regular Americans. Now, whether it gets done or not, and whether it's executed properly or not, that's another story. But if it's something that's actually for the American people, Ben Shapiro's not going to want to highlight that. His whole job is to protect the corporations. His whole job is to protect the elites. So any time they try to do something to help regular people, he's got to smear it and act like it's insanity, it's craziness, it's socialism, it's communism, blah, 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 right? So he might do that if she says some stuff that, is leaning towards helping regular people. He's gonna just unhinged type of reaction to that. Otherwise, it's just gonna be nonsensical. The left-wing anti-liberal channels are going to talk about how she's a fake progressive. She's talking all this stuff, but why didn't she do it before? And they're probably going to focus on also the so-called shit libs and how they're falling for it, and this is all a scam, and Obama said the same thing and he didn't really deliver, that kind of stuff. So the liberal media channels, or progressive channels for the most part, are going to just be like, she did a great job, everything was awesome, she talked about some great things, and she really defended her positions, and she was certainly way better than Trump. And that'll be true. You can pretty much be guaranteed whatever she says is going to be way better than Trump. She's not going to be saying crazy things. She's not going to be talking as if she doesn't know what she's talking about, type of thing, just rambling on and on. The main issue she's going to run into is if you ask her tough questions, she's going to try to deflect, or while she's searching for something to say that's not the answer to the question, but doesn't seem too suspicious, she might end up saying something that sounds a little bit odd. Then Ben Shapiro is going to make videos of highlighting it and saying that she's dumb. That's also another thing you're going to expect from like a Tim Pool of Ben Shapiro. He's going to try to make her look incompetent. Basically, the stuff that Trump has been saying about her, he's going to try to validate that. So it's going to be, she's incompetent, she's a fool, she doesn't know anything about what she's talking about. She has never started a business before. She doesn't know how businesses work. This is nonsense, blah, blah, blah. And he might talk about, she's been in office for 4 years. Why didn't she do that stuff before? But if she talks about anything that, in too much detail, that is something designed to help regular Americans, he's not going to want to discuss that in details. He's just going to smear it and say it's nonsense, it doesn't make any sense. And, he's just going to pull something on his ass. And if we do this, then the taxes are going to go up, obviously, blah, 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 right? But I'm expecting he's not going to really have much to attack her for. Same thing with the anti-liberal left. And again, the progressives are just going to go along with everything. They're not going to push back on anything. I was getting eaten the hell up by those mosquitoes. But anyway, so let's sum it up. Ben Shapiro's take is going to be absolutely, pretty much guaranteed, very dishonest. Doesn't matter what she says. He is going to frame it as ridiculous. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's a moron. He's going to frame her as an extremist, far left, woke, whatever. Whatever buzzword he can, get a lot of engagement from his viewers on, that's going to be the extent of it. And he's going to also, like I said before, look for any little detail. Her outfit, she laughed too much, she never looked at the person she was talking to. Any little, just nitpick. The far left guys, the actual far left guys, they are going to basically, again, talk about how she's fake, she doesn't mean anything. Maybe focus on Israel. We talk about that. She's a war hawk or whatever. She's no better than Biden, that kind of rhetoric. And liberal media is just going to go along with it. You can expect Luke Beasley, Brian Tyler Cohen, I would even say David Pakman. They're all going to say, this is really great, and she did a great job, and she's very strong, and she didn't do stuff like Trump. Liberal media is going to be generally pretty good with her, but I forgot nothing about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is going to frame the CNN interview as totally softball, so totally partisan, and not a real interview. But the reality is CNN is going to be very, very focused on not looking like liberal media, right? Because CNN is not working for the Democratic Party. They they seem partisan, and they can be partisan, but that is from a business perspective in terms of they're pandering to the ideology of the audience that's watching. And the audience watching is how they make their money, right? So they need to get them to engage. So they keep that in mind. But they also want to be seen as objective news media. They don't want to be called liberal media. So that means they're going to push her. Now, things are very dangerous right now with Trump and Project 2025. The race is very close. And also, not just that alone is not enough, but add to that the energy, the tremendous energy in terms of, people are loving Kamala. She's getting a lot of positive support. So they're gonna thread a very thin thread, shall we say, or needle, whatever the expression is. On one hand, they don't want to appear to be liberal media, right? Even though no matter what they do, they're going to be called that. It's going to be called softball by right-wing media. Doesn't matter how hard they are on her. But still, for whatever reason, they're going to pander to the right and the left, right? The pandering to the right is to show them, no, we're not liberal media. So they're going to want to ask her tough questions, but they don't want to ask her too tough of a question because they don't want to anger their viewers. So it's not like they're working for the Democratic Party. They're working for money, and putting out something that's going to upset your viewers is not a way to make money. So it's going to be very, very difficult for them and challenging to sort of challenge her, but don't challenge her in a way where their viewers get too upset. So I think the way that's going to work is they will ask tough questions, but maybe only on certain ones they'll push back and not allow her to wiggle around. And on other ones, maybe ones where it's the biggest risk for her, they will either not give any pushback when she tries to dodge and deflect, which I'm sure she will, or they will push back very, very gently and allow her to explain herself in any way. So they ask her a question, she evades the question, and they're like, well, that doesn't really answer the thing, blah, 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 blah. And then she will evade it in a different way, and then they'll move on to the next question. I definitely don't see them, she's going to not want to answer certain questions, right? And I don't see them really holding her accountable like they would a Republican. And they don't always do that with the Republicans. The Republicans will go in there and say nonsense. And again, because they don't want to seem like partisan media, right? So they don't want to be just attacking a Republican. The Republicans will go in there and say some crazy stuff, and they'll do the same thing that I said they're going to do to Kamala Harris. So it's not like they're only doing this stuff for her, but I'm expecting they are going to do that. So when you watch the media coverage of this, that is what you're going to be seeing from liberal media corporate, from progressive media. TYT is going to be one of the best sources to get an honest pushback on what she said. They might go too far and might just be focused all on Israel. That's definitely what Breaking Points is probably going to do, focus on the Israel foreign policy stuff or whatever it is. They're also going to be looking for a lot of negatives, trying to just negative. Anything good that she does, you're not going to hear much from Ben Shapiro or Tim Pool. Breaking Points, maybe. But that's what you can expect. In terms of the actual interview, I think I pretty much covered it already. She's going to do a much better job than any of the Trump interviews. And this is going to be a tougher interview than any of the interviews that Trump has done in right-wing media and friendly media. But there's going to be those questions that they're going to ask her that she's not going to want to answer, and she's going to dodge and deflect. And in dodging and deflecting, that's where you might get her saying some crazy stuff that doesn't make any sense. And then they're going to make it look like, oh, she's a dummy and she's an airhead. It's not going to be. It's not that she's being an airhead. It's just I don't think she's that good at politics. So being able to think on her feet in terms of wiggling her way out of something she doesn't want to answer, I don't think she's that good at. So. She knows better than whatever she might say that's ridiculous, but she feels like she has to say something, and she can't come up with something clever enough to duck the question. And in that mode, she ends up saying something that sounds kind of there could be some head scratches in there probably. I think overall she's going to do pretty good. I would say if I were to give her a grade, I'm anticipating she's going to do a 75, maybe an 80. So not really impressive from an objective standpoint, but it's going to be impressive to liberal media, a lot of the progressive media folks, and we already know what right-wing media is going to say. Anyway, this is Baby Channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.